What does the Bible say about Bathsheba? What does the Bible say about Bathsheba? The Bible tells the story of Bathsheba, a woman whose life was significantly impacted by her sins and the sins of others. In 2 Samuel 11, Bathsheba is described as the wife of Uriah the Hittite and the daughter of Eliam. She was summoned by King David, who committed adultery with her and impregnated her. Because of King David's sin against God, Bathsheba faced significant consequences, including the death of her husband and the loss of her firstborn son. The story of Bathsheba demonstrates God's justice, mercy, and grace, as he ultimately forgives King David and restores Bathsheba's family. Although Bathsheba faced a difficult situation, God ultimately uses her story to demonstrate his love, mercy, and grace. What does the Bible say about Bathsheba? The story of Bathsheba is one of the most famous stories in the Bible. This story is found in the book of Samuel, and it is a story of love, betrayal, and redemption. It is a story full of complex characters and emotion, and it is a story that speaks directly to the heart of us today. Who was Bathsheba? Bathsheba was the wife of Uriah the Hittite and the daughter of Eliam. She was the mother of Solomon and the great-grandmother of Jesus. What was the consequence of Bathsheba and David's adultery? The consequences of Bathsheba and David's adultery were far-reaching and devastating for both of them. In the Bible, it is written that David had committed a great sin by seeing Bathsheba bathing on the roof of her house, and took her as his wife, though she was already married to Uriah the Hittite. The consequences of their adultery were very severe. Firstly, God punished David for his sins by causing the death of the baby born to Bathsheba as a result of their tryst. This child died 7 days after his birth, and David was greatly grieved by the loss. In addition to this, God also punished David by sending a plague upon the land of Israel which killed 70,000 people. Furthermore, the adultery had a great impact on the relationship between David and his family. David's son, Absalom, became so enraged at his father's actions that he led a revolt against him and eventually killed his half-brother Amnon, who was Bathsheba's firstborn son. As a result of this, David was driven out of Jerusalem and had to flee for his life. Additionally, the adultery also had a great impact on the relationship between David and his people. Many of the people of Israel were angered by his actions, and some even began to question his kingship. This resulted in a weakening of his power and authority, and the eventual split of the kingdom into two. Lastly, the consequences of David and Bathsheba's adultery had a long-term effect on their descendants. It is said that their descendants, including King Solomon, suffered from a curse because of their parents' sins. This curse was so severe that it caused great instability in the kingdom and ultimately led to its downfall. In conclusion, the consequences of David and Bathsheba's adultery were far-reaching and devastating. Not only were they personally affected by their sins, but their actions had a great impact on their descendants and on the kingdom of Israel as a whole. Where was Bathsheba from? Bathsheba was from the city of Jerusalem, which was located in the land of Canaan. Bathsheba was a Canaanite woman, and she was a descendant of Abraham. What time did Bathsheba live? Bathsheba lived during the time of King David, which was around 1000 BC. She was a contemporary of King David, and she was a woman of faith who believed in the one true God. How long did Bathsheba live? Bathsheba lived a long life, and she was known to have been a faithful servant of God. She was said to have been a beautiful woman, and she was said to have been a wise and virtuous woman. Understanding the meaning of Bathsheba. The name Bathsheba is Hebrew and it means daughter of oath. It is a reminder to us today to keep our word and stay true to our promises. The etymology of the biblical name of Bathsheba. Bathsheba is a prominent figure in the Bible, primarily remembered for her adulterous relationship with King David. The name Bathsheba, however, has a much older history than the biblical account and has been used as a name in many cultures worldwide. Etymologists have sought to uncover the origins of this name, and what their findings mean for our understanding of the biblical narrative. The most widely accepted etymology of the name Bathsheba is that it comes from the Hebrew words Bath, meaning daughter, and Sheba, meaning oath or promise. Taken together, the name Bathsheba can be interpreted to mean daughter of the oath or daughter of the promise. This interpretation is further supported by the fact that when Bathsheba was first introduced in the Bible, she is described as a daughter of Eliam, 2 Samuel 11:3. Eliam is mentioned several times in the Bible and is believed to be a name for God, further emphasizing the divine connection to the name Bathsheba. The etymology of the name Bathsheba has also been heavily studied by other cultures. In some Islamic traditions, the name Bathsheba is interpreted as daughter of the seven in reference to the 7 planets of the solar system. This interpretation was likely derived from the fact that the name Bathsheba was originally a Phoenician name, and the Phoenicians were renowned for their knowledge of the stars and planets. In other cultures, the name Bathsheba has been interpreted to mean daughter of the East, father, grandfather, minister, missionary, deacon, elder, author. Welcome to our family. View all posts.